Hi, everyone. Welcome to On the Money. I'm Becky Quick. Beating the big boys at their own game. The company that says its prices can beat Amazon's, and the more you buy, the more you save. Of course, there is a big catch. Are you ready for some football? Players reporting Deflategate and keeping up with the high-tech times. 5 signs you're in good financial health and a few that you might not be. How to tell if you need a money checkup. The doctor is in. And a taste of summer. I'll put some bubbly to the taste test. Sparkling wines from bargains to big bucks. On the Money starts right now.
This is On the Money. Your money, your life, your future. Now, Becky Quick.
Amazon.com. It is a name that brings joy to most American consumers and fear to most American retailers. But now there's a new game in town, a competitor who is also promising low prices and quick delivery. Does Amazon have anything to fear? That is our cover story today. 60% of Americans have made a purchase through Amazon in the last 12 months, buying everything from groceries to books and electronics, according to Schulman Research.
The printer came from Amazon, computer speakers here and here, yoga mat, this Kindle, the radio, a lot of the CDs, TV came from Amazon.
And more than 1 in 7 Americans is a member of Amazon's subscription program, Amazon Prime. For $99 a year, the 41 million Prime members get unlimited 2-day shipping plus access to streaming music and videos. These members spend 57% more a year than non-Prime customers, according to Consumer Intelligence Research Partners. And sales are continuing to grow. In the second quarter of 2015, Amazon's sales rose 20% to $23.2 billion. It's no doubt the online retailer is a success. What started in founder Jeff Bezos' garage in 1995 as an online bookseller now has a market cap larger than brick-and-mortar retail giant Walmart. But could Amazon be beat at its own game? Last week, online shopping club Jet.com opened for business, promising lower prices for just half the price of Amazon's Prime membership fee. Jet's founder, Mark Laurie, joins us right now. Mark, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So Jet.com, I look at this as a competitor to not only Amazon, but also Costco. Why don't you describe how it works?
Sure. So we don't really think about it as competing directly with Amazon or Costco. We're really acting as a conduit for retailers to, reach more customers in a more profitable way. So we've built this technology that actually helps pull supply chain costs out of the system. So we've built this dynamic pricing engine that actually reprices products in real time as consumers shop to reflect the true marginal cost of getting that product to you based on knowing what's in your basket.
Part of that is also kind of luring shoppers in with almost like a gaming aspect of it. I can watch my prices go down as I add more things to the basket.
Yeah, as you shop in a smarter way and build your basket, the marginal cost to ship additional product comes down, so you see that in real time, the price is coming down. Yeah, exactly.
You have had success in the past. You founded Diapers.com, which was eventually bought by Amazon. What got you to this sort of strategy? It's been a few years. What made you think that this is the way to do it now?
Yeah, I just see that the market is still in the early stages. We're about $300 billion online today, but over the next decade, we see the market growing to $1.2 trillion in the U.S. alone. So another $900 billion coming online, and I think a lot of participants in the market are really even focused on convenience and people that are willing to pay a premium for service. And nobody's really focused on innovating around price, and that's where we're focused.
I think that Jet.com is going to be a huge win for consumers because when you start looking at some of the prices, it's kind of phenomenal. In fact, we had a producer who was playing around with some stuff and ordering things. He actually ordered a toothbrush, a single toothbrush for $2.11. Now, it was part of a larger order, but that toothbrush, when it showed up, had been shipped by itself from Walmart.com. And on the receipt that you sent, it said that that cost $8.10. So that's a loss of $6. How do you sustain things like that where you're losing money on some of the shipments that are coming?
In that particular case, we're simply bridging. We're startup still, so it's still early days. That toothbrush will eventually be in our warehouse. So we do stock all the everyday essentials in our 3 warehouses. So that toothbrush will be in our warehouse, and it will be put into the box. And the incremental cost is how we priced it. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we went out and bought it at Walmart.com in this case is just a temporary bridge. So
how soon will you have all of these?
We have 25,000 products in our warehouse today, and by the end of the next 12 months, we'll have just about every everyday essential product you could imagine in the warehouses. But still, that's the only stuff we sell. Everything else is coming from third-party merchants. We're not competing with our merchants. We're really a conduit for retailers, brick-and-mortar retailers, to drive more profitable traffic. So we can drive in-store traffic, in-store pickup, and we could give them a back-end access to the rules engine to set rules about being able to control their own profitability by avoiding unprofitable orders.
You know, we've seen the cycle play out, and obviously you had a huge hit last time around with diapers.com, but part of the problem was that it was costing so much money to bring in new customers every time. I know you have about $225 million in funding money that's already there. How long will that last, though? How quickly will you burn through it?
Yeah, we have, like you said, a lot of cash in the balance sheet, and we're going to be super aggressive about marketing. This is really a scale game, and we've put out there that our goal is to get to $20 billion in 5 years, at which point we'd be at scale and have a long, road ahead of us.
Would you sell? Could you imagine selling to Amazon.com or somebody else?
We're not obviously thinking about that now. We think there's a really big opportunity to create a large business.
Okay, and what's been the most exciting thing that you've done so far?
I think it's just been exciting to, having a decade of experience in e-commerce and being able to do this again from scratch with all the learnings and to build the right culture from scratch and bring in great people.
All right, Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Okay.
Now here's a look at what's making news as we head into a new week on the money. America's economy is picking up steam. The gross domestic product, that is the broadest measurement of the size and the scope of the U.S. economy, it grew at an annual rate of 2.3% in the second quarter. Consumer spending and exports were strong. Still, that's a little bit below expectations, but it is better than last quarter's dismal showing. Stocks snapped a 5-day losing streak earlier in the week after global markets stabilized, though stocks fell on Friday. The Federal Reserve's Open Market Committee kept interest rates steady at its meeting this week. The rates are near zero, and a hike could come this year. The Fed meets in September, October, and December. And there could be a new window opening if you have a PC. Microsoft introducing Windows 10 that combines desktop and tablet features. Best of all, it's free for most Windows 7 and Windows 8 users. Up next, we're on the money. With football just around the corner, why is the NFL fighting with itself? And can it score when it comes to a high-tech future? And later, everyone wants to be financially well off. But what are the signs that you're successful? Right now, as we head to a break, take a look at how the stock market ended the week.
I want to apologize to the fans of the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. I was wrong to put my faith in the league.
That was New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft this week, angry that NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell upheld quarterback Tom Brady's 4-game suspension. The penalty is punishment for Deflategate, accusations that Brady and the team tampered with footballs in the AFC Championship game. Brady and the Patriots deny any wrongdoing. Mike Ozanian is Forbes' executive editor. Jamel Hill is the co-host of ESPN's His and Hers, and I want to thank you both for being with us today. Mike, why don't we talk about what's happening here? Because this is almost the best of times and the worst of times for football. You couldn't think of a better business you'd like to be in, but it's kind of amazing to watch these blow-ups time after time.
$10 billion industry, extremely fat profit margins, new deals coming all the time on the marketing and the TV side, yet you have this in the news. Now you have the court case coming to New York, which I think is bad for Brady, and I think it'll make things easier for the NFL to get the 4-game suspension upheld.
You think it's bad because it's a New York jurisdiction and there are New York Jets and Giants fans here?
No, I think that Minnesota, where they wanted it, has been more favorable to the NFL Players Union, and we saw that in the Adrian Peterson case, for example, and I think that's why they wanted it there. As opposed to being in New York, which I think is, more uncharted territory for the NFLPA.
Jamel, do you think that this at any point impacts the business of the NFL? Because it is kind of amazing. The fans are still showing up, and certainly television ratings have never been stronger.
Yeah, the NFL is Teflon, and I think we saw that as another demonstration with a far more serious issue last year. The NFL was coming off one of its more tumultuous off seasons because of what happened with Ray Rice and the video, and there being more general awareness of some of the domestic violence incidents in the league. And yet when week 1 came, everybody was back to the games and it was business as usual. The controversy, it seems like there's a pattern of it only helping the NFL. All of a sudden you have people who hadn't maybe been drawn in. I don't know who those people are considering how popular the sport is. All of a sudden they're drawn into the game because of the drama and the storylines.
Yeah, Mike, I guess that's the question. Janelle points out that it's been Teflon to this point.
Yeah, I think she makes a great point, too, because if you look at what the #1 jersey sale has been for any player, it's been Tom Brady. So, to Jamel's point, what you have is almost a rallying around. You know, people have somebody that they love, and you get New England rallying around the Pats, and then you have a lot of those that are sort of like tired of this golden boy image of Tom Brady, saying, you know what, we really are going to take the other side, and we're really going to latch on to this and despise him.
So it's this extension of the competitiveness that we already feel when we're watching these things, watching it play out.
The passion of the NFL, which is, to what you said, one of the reasons why their ratings are so high.
Jamel, what does this mean for Roger Goodell, though? I mean, this has been scandal after scandal, and wow, it's been a tough couple of years for him.
Well, this is a different kind of scandal because unlike with what happened with him with the fallout from Ray Rice, I think that he largely has the public on his side. Regardless of how this turns out in court, I think Roger Goodell has already won the public relations battle. As just was mentioned, you know, Tom Brady and the Patriots, they're a very polarizing team. They win a lot. They've been very successful. Brady has, as he just put it, quote, a golden boy image. And because of Spygate and everything that happened there, for a lot of people, the perception of the Patriots is that they're cheaters. And so you're not going to find a lot of people actually condemning Roger Goodell from coming down on a team that a lot of people have a negative perception of anyway.
Mike, let's just talk about the business of football. I mean, it's amazing to watch what you can get content-wise when it's online, when it's what you can actually see just from the comfort of your own home. How big of a problem does the NFL have for teams that aren't in the leadership positions trying to fill those seats every week?
Well, you know what, Becky, I think you make a great point, because now you have almost an aberration. You have sort of the at-stadium experience, and then you have the at-home experience. And what the league has done a great job of is, on the margin, managing to continually increase revenue. So you have the new Verizon deal that kicked in last year for handheld devices, which is great. On the other hand, we just still have a sort of a problem, a little bit of a challenge, I should say, selling tickets. So they even lowered the requirement of sold seats last year for blackouts. And now they're not going to black out any games this year. But on the margin, they're still going to grow at a high single-digit rate in terms of revenue, and their profits will be fat because they have the cap on player salaries.
Janelle, let's just talk about the three teams that could wind up threatening to move to Los Angeles. You think any one of them actually goes there?
Well, I guess right now I'm sort of eyeballing the Raiders a little bit. Obviously, there's been a relationship with Los Angeles, and certainly people have, as a fourth team, have floated the Jaguars for forever, and some people think they might even go to London. But I would be eyeballing that team because it just depends on what happens between them and the city. I know now, or recently, they've sat down and had some talks. It's just hard to imagine in this day and age, period, of a team moving, because that tends to have the negative consequences and the reaction from that. I'm just curious as how that would be handled now, especially with the day and age of social media. We saw a long time ago with the Colts in Baltimore, obviously saw it in Cleveland. I just don't know if there is upside, even because these owners, they tend to hold cities hostage, but I don't know if there's upside in leaving a city like there was before.
Jamel and Mike want to thank you both for being with us today. Up next, we are on the money, measuring your financial wellness, how to tell if your finances are fit, and some warning signs that they may not be. And later, break out the bubbly. We will show you some fizz-filled bottles that won't break the bank. The majority of affluent Americans say that they are feeling good about their financial health and ability to manage and invest their own money. But many have less confidence during times of market turbulence, according to a new Wells Fargo survey. Even if you don't have a lot of money, there are still some telltale signs that will let you know if you are financially healthy. Sharon Epperson is here to tell us how to find out if you're on the right track when it comes to your money and your future. Sharon, what are the signs that you're in good financial health?
Well, one of the things that you should always do is give yourself a financial checkup. And the first place to start is to know what's going in and what's coming out, and know what you owe and what you own. I mean, that's really key. If you can tell folks and tell yourself what your liabilities are, what your assets are, you're in really good shape.
How often should you be doing something like that? Once every year?
Well, definitely once a year. And the other important thing to know is that, when you look at what you owe and what you own, you get a better sense of what your net worth is. And knowing your net worth and then comparing that to your income, that's another key point. If your net income is higher, net worth rather, is higher than your income, then you're definitely financially healthy. You're in great shape. You really are living within your means, and that's another key point.
Now, when I look at things like a house, you may still own money on a house, but do you get to count that as an asset or a liability? Because I have a certain amount of equity in the house. Is that your asset?
The equity would be your asset, but you definitely owe that money you owe. You got to count that. And so that's where another point comes in. You want to make sure that the mortgage payments that you have to make, the debt that you owe, that all of that adds up to less than a third of your income. And that's another sign that you're financially healthy.
What are some of the signs that tell you, hey, you need to get a little more financially fit, you're out of shape here?
Well, you're not really practical about what you're spending. You're just spending on whatever you want, whenever you want. We see that all the time, actually, with celebrities, all the way down to people who may not have a lot of money. So that's something that you really need to have a spending plan. You need to have a budget. The other thing that people do is they don't have any emergency savings. How many people might have some of their savings automated, perhaps for retirement savings or something like that? But when it comes to having liquid cash on hand, if something happens to their house or to their car, they don't have that ready. And then a lot of folks also aren't really planning for their financial security for the future and have enough retirement savings. So having adequate retirement savings and a strategy to make sure that you have enough, that's another sign that you need to do some work.
If I see one of these red flags that pops up, what do I need to do to try and address some of those warning signs?
Well, the first thing is just to really sit down and think about it and create a plan. And there are a lot of apps out there, a lot of online tools that can help you create a budget. But the basic thing you need to think about is how much money you're spending on committed expenses, how much money you're saving for the long term, for your financial security, your retirement and college, how much money is also going into emergency savings short term. And then you don't want to never have fun. You want to have some money that you're just spending on what you want. So you want to create a budget that allows you to do those things. And when you need help, don't be afraid to ask. There are nonprofit credit counselors out there that can help you, financial advisors that are willing to help you create that plan that you need to get to where you want to go.
All right, Sharon, thank you.
Sure, my pleasure.
Up next on The Money, a look at the news for the week ahead. And bottoms up, some sparkling summer wines to fit your budget. We will put them to the taste test when we come right back. For more on our show and on our guests, you can go to our website, otm.cnbc.com, and you can follow us on Twitter @OnTheMoney. Here are the stories coming up that may impact your money this week. Media and entertainment giants Disney, CBS, Time Warner, 21st Century Fox, and Viacom all report their earnings. On Monday, auto sales for the month of June are released. And happy birthday, Mr. President. Barack Obama turns 54 on Tuesday. On Thursday, the Buckeye State hosts the first Republican presidential debate. It will be taking place in Cleveland. And on Friday, the big number of the week, we're going to find out how many jobs were created when the unemployment report for the month of July comes out. While U.S. beer sales are flat, sparkling wine sales are bubbling. According to a new report by the Wine Institute, thirsty consumers are uncorking 7% more sparkling wines this year than last. Food and Wine magazine's executive editor, wine editor, Ray Isle, is here to tell us about what's behind the sparkling sales. He's going to open a few bottles for us as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't come without some bottles.
Which is why we keep inviting you back, Ray.
No, it's the strangest thing.
It
you know,
is.
what's going on here?
Well, 40% increase in sales over the last 10 years. Why do we like sparkling wine so much more?
Well, you know, I think that what's happening is that it started to branch out from being just a special occasion thing to a you know, it used to be weddings, you know, events. That was the only place people ever drank sparkling wine. And now it's spread out to having it for dinner, having it for brunch, having it, you know, kind of anywhere.
Having it like really for dinner for some of these wines?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, one thing about sparkling wine is it goes great with food. People forget that. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
So
Thank you for bringing this.
This is, I mean, and this is one of the huge success stories. This is Prosecco. It's a Mianetto Prosecco from Italy. And Prosecco has been a 30%-ish growth for the past 7 years straight. I mean, it's just taken off like crazy. And
let's see.
You know, that's kind of classic Prosecco.
It is light. And you know what? I don't even like champagne, but there are fewer bubbles, it feels like to me in this.
It's a little less overtly bubbly than champagne. It's a slightly different production method. It's done in big tanks as opposed to in the bottle, the bubble creation part. And it's a little softer and a little bit sweeter usually than champagne, and kind of more of an apple kind of flavor to it.
Yeah, I can definitely get some of those notes. Now, this is a Spanish rosé.
This is a Spanish sparkling rosé. And rosé, that's the other big success story right now, is rosé has gone crazy.
See, I make fun of guys who I see drinking rosé. Is
well,
that not
you know,
right?
there's a term now. People have started to say brosé instead, which is kind of, you know, whether you buy it or not, at least, you know, there's someone out there who's trying to believe that, you know, frat guys are drinking rosé. But this is Spanish rosé from the Cava region outside of Barcelona. It's a company called Reventos y Blanc, and they're trying to make truly ambitious cava that's kind of on the level of great champagne. And I think for $25, it's a steal of a wine.
Now, what if I have a really fancy event?
If you have a fancy event, then there's champagne from Champagne, the actual region in France. And this, I like this, but this is a 2008 Louis Roederer Brut vintage. And vintage is a very small percentage of the champagne market. It's about 1.3%. not counting things like Dom Perignon. So it's not that well known. It's kind of
A little bit of a slurp there. Yeah, that's
it's
really
a very
smooth.
long glass.
That's very smooth.
It's very smooth. It's very it's elegant. It's got complexity, and it's about $80 a bottle. But I like the vintage wines because they're lower than the kind of Tête de Cuvée Cristals and Dom Perignons, which are in the $200 zone.
And how much is this one?
It's
again?
about 80.
Oh.
And it's above the kind of $40 basic Clicquot Yellow Label zone, and a lot of bang for your buck, I think, and just a lovely wine.
What do you think about wine cocktails? Does that destroy? I mean, are you a wine purist? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think people should drink what they like. It's like I'm not out here to tell people if you drink this you're wrong. But I think Prosecco, particularly, the rule with cocktails, don't use something expensive in the cocktail where you're going to mix it with fruit juice or something because you're going to lose all of what made it expensive. Prosecco, is fantastic with, in a mimosa. It's fantastic. I had a spritzer made with a cassis liqueur the other day that was terrific. So, perfectly fine to experiment. Do what you want.
Just do it with the cheaper bottles, not the more expensive ones. Ray, thanks for being here. It's great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
That does it for us today. I'm Becky Quick. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week, making sure you can pay for your golden years. We will have the top retirement of mistakes to make sure you avoid. Each week, keep it right here. We're on the money. Have a great one, and we will see you next weekend.